As far as the fight breakdown, I'm picking Triple G. I think Martin Murray can be a stern test. He can even give fits to Triple G. I would say in his fight with Sergio Martinez, he had that kind of real tight defense. Now, another reason why I'm picking Triple G to win is I don't feel Martin Murray has the power in order to really back up and get the respect of Triple G. Now, we'll see what Martin Murray could do, but I'm picking Triple G. I just don't think I think the power is going to really. If Martin Murray had better power, then I would give him a better chance because his style mixed with a little bit more power could be exactly what is needed. But I think he lacks power. He doesn't have that type of power that's going to really deter, if you will, Triple G from doing what he normally does. And Triple G is by far, in my opinion, one of the best in cutting off the rings, or cutting off the ring. And I'm even going on a limb. I think Martin Murray might be the first guy to go the distance. You know what I'm saying? I think he could take Triple G to the deep waters and you know what I mean, last the 12 rounds. Martin Murray, he's also a durable guy. He's big. He's a guy who's been in prison, and I know I always say that when I talk about him, but I mean that's how much I view boxing. I view boxing as like different aspects and variables, and I consider all these different things. And I had a pretty good run with my predictions, so we'll see. I think it could be a late stoppage, but for the sake of this prediction video, I'm going to say he goes the distance, and then Triple G wins by a unanimous decision. But I think Martin Murray can pose problems, even frustrate Triple G. I just think when it comes down to it, there's a few things he's lacking, which are going to prevent him from getting the actual win. I'm not saying respectable, but like big, you don't have a big punch to back this guy up off of you. So we'll see. I think, like I said, Martin Murray's tough. It's a good fight. It's a solid fight. And then the winner could go on to greener pastures. I can't really see an upset happening in this particular fight with Martin Murray, but it'll be a good fight. We'll see at the another thing with fights like this that I look for is even if a guy like Martin Murray loses, what kinks in his opponent's armor can he expose? You know what I'm saying? Because there's some people who I've seen fights where a fighter wins, but they still got exposed for some odd rounds. So to me, that's another reason I'm watching this, because I want to see is even if Martin Murray can't win or doesn't win, I want to see if he can expose some flaws and make them more apparent. That shows me that Triple G needs more work before he goes in there with guys like Andre Ward, bigger guys like Carl Froch. Can he beat all the competition? Is he as invincible as his aura makes him seem right now? You know what I'm saying? So it's a good fight for that reason too, because even if Martin Murray loses, he could still expose some things. I thought he beat Sergio. I had a pretty good run with my predictions, so we'll see. I think it could be a late stoppage, but for the sake of this prediction video, I'm going to say he goes the distance, and then Triple G wins by a unanimous decision. But I think Martin Murray can pose problems, even frustrate Triple G. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Well, it looks like the boxing ego legend grows. I pretty much called this fight very accurately. Now, the thing I did get wrong was I said that it would and could go to the distance. It ended in the 11th round via TKO, via Gennady Golovkin ref stoppage, based on taking too much punishment. Very close to going the stretch. Like I told you, I also said that if I could also see a stoppage, but to land, just so I can't hedge my bet, I said unanimous decision. So for that, I was wrong. But if you listen to what I said, I think a lot of the other stuff unfolded. So let's break down the fight. Now, before I get into it, quick disclaimer. If you are not objective, if you are a Triple G groupie, if you're a Martin Murray groupie, if you're a boxing groupie in general, you're not going to enjoy this video, because on my channel, what I do when I break down fights, predictions, post-fights, I call it down the middle. There's no favoritism, and I tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, before I start with the actual breakdown, Martin Murray and Triple G, props. Props to Triple G for getting yet another victory. I believe it was his 19th consecutive good boy stoppage, KO fashion. So props to him on another victory and just clearing out the middleweight division like a true champion. For Martin Murray, tons of heart. He has a heart the size of the UK. I really respect him. You've seen shades of Arturo Gatti, shades of just the great warriors, the Diego Corraleses and people like that in his performance. Now, I thought he was getting battered, especially towards the middle to end, but he tried. I genuinely feel he was trying to make the fight. It just, he has some shortcomings, and I called those shortcomings. His power being probably the most significant one. Now, Jim Lampley says some of the dumbest things to me. Sometimes he opened up the telecast and he said that Martin Murray, it's evident he has no punching power based on a low KO percentage. He says he only has like 12 KOs out of all his fights, etc. Then later in the telecast, he was praising Triple G for having an iron chin. Like, that doesn't even make sense. You can't say a guy has no punching power and then say a guy has an iron chin because he's taking a fighter's best shots. He's like, oh, he took Martin Murray's best shots. But yeah, didn't you just say this guy had no punching power? So me personally, for the record, I think Triple G does have a good chin, but that comment in commentary makes no sense. You can't say a guy has an iron chin for taking a guy you said was a light puncher's punch in his best punches. It doesn't make sense. I told you guys in my prediction, the big determining factor in this would be a lack of punching power. And it was apparent because Martin Murray was landing some shots. And to me, like I said in my prediction, he did expose some vulnerabilities in Triple G. I really, truthfully, I've always been a fan of Triple G, and I've told you that. I think in 2013 on my channel, in January, before he fought Rosado, nobody really knew about him in the States. I was the one that made a video. It's still on my channel if you don't believe me. And I said, who's next? And it was just a list of all the guys that I thought in boxing could make an impact and do well for themselves. And he was actually the thumbnail that I used, the cover photo, because I've always been a fan of Triple G. But again, I call it down the middle. I think if they were to fight 3 months from now, Andre Ward beats him. Unless Andre Ward's just extremely rusty from having a long layoff. I truly think that based on, I've always felt that, but especially based on what I've seen tonight. But again, I'm not taking anything away from Triple G because he did get the victory. He did it convincingly. He pretty much dominated. I think you can at most give Murray 3 rounds, maybe 2 rounds, 1 round. It just depends. I would say 2 or 3 rounds is 3 is generous. 2 is probably realistic. I would say maybe 2 in there. So he did his thing, but I do see some vulnerabilities that Triple G needs to work on. One, not everyone is power. You can just take their best shots. You know what I mean? They might sneak something on you. And Murray was doing that. He was landing some short, compact rights. And Triple G was eating them, but I told you going into this is not the biggest puncher. So if you go up in there with the Carl Froch at a bigger division, that might not be the same outcome. You know what I mean? You might feel it. So I respect Triple G for being this like mechanic and machine, and he just keeps coming at you. He's like the fucking Terminator. Immense a level of pressure that most guys fold under. Props to Martin Murray for going that as many rounds. Some people said it could have got stopped earlier, but it didn't. So it's very impressive how he cuts off the ring. I told you that. He's probably one of the best top 3, if not top 1, in cutting off the ring. However, I still think based on a fighter, you want to have it in your arsenal to do and not do things. So I don't know. Maybe it remains to be seen because we haven't seen him in with an elite, a known elite person like a Carl Froch, a known elite person like Andre Ward, Sergey Kovalev or something like that. Or even, like, I don't know, just someone who was a champion like Peter Quillen or whatever. Like, I would be very surprised if he allowed Peter Quillen to take all those free shots. Now, I would favor Triple G to beat Peter Quillen, but again, these are all different fights because if a fighter has power and a chin, then that gets interesting. I just think Martin Murray, one of his biggest deficits, which I told you that, so I'm not like making up excuses. I told you that before the fight even started, days ago when I did my prediction video. It was his lack of power. So again, it was a good win. I think Triple G did his thing. He imposed his will. Fact of the matter is he did eat Martin Murray's best shots. However, when he steps up in class to even a Cotto, is he going to be able to eat all those punches that Martin Murray was landing? But on the flip side of that coin, are those fighters going to be able to go as long as Martin Murray did and be getting battered up and beat the fuck up and last? Martin Murray's big. I told you that. That's another advantage that he had going in, is the fact that he was big. So You know what I mean? You can take a punch better. Cotto's small for middleweight. So these are all questions that remain to be seen. I'm looking forward to it. Shout out to Triple G for another exciting performance. He did his thing, cut off the ring. He had 2 knockdowns in 1 round. He had a 3rd knockdown later. It was an interesting fight. It was a good fight because you got to see a true warrior. To me, this fight had shades of David Lemieux versus Gabe Rosado, where you've seen a warrior who's definitely down and losing and getting beat up, but they were still game. They were still trying to land a big shot or a game changer. It also had shades of Andy Lee versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. because early on Chavez Jr. struggled to kind of figure out the puzzle, which was Andy Lee. Andy Lee has more power per his division than Martin Murray, in my opinion. But Chavez Jr., he didn't just come out. Like, if you watch this fight, Triple G was very patient, and Martin Murray, that was when he was doing probably his best work because he was getting off shots. I told y'all Martin Murray is not a punk, and that's what I really respect about him. There's no punk in him. He was banging. He was fighting. He was still, even though he was severely getting beat, he was still game. He was still trying. He was still trying to punch with Triple G. But in boxing, it gets to a point where no matter how much heart you have, no matter what, your brain and your body is going to tell you what to do, and it's going to like create the answer for you. Like, you don't want to give up, then your body's going to give up on you. And it looked like Martin Murray was gassing out. His hands, I've seen him keep his hands low before, but they were extremely low. He was breathing. His nose started bleeding. So overall, it just became too much over the duration, and he was losing the battle of attrition. Another thing I like about Triple G is that motherfucker, like, even though Martin Murray's not a big puncher, he was taking all these shots, and he looked very calm, cool, calm, collective, and really callous about all the shots. So, again, I want to see Triple G. I don't want to see no more guys who we consider B with, you know what I mean, some blemishes on their record against lesser competition. I don't want to see small guys. I want to see him in there with a known elite person. That's all I want from Triple G. Keep doing your thing. It was a great performance. It was exciting. Hold your head high, Martin Murray. I'll definitely support Martin Murray and watch his future fights because he showed you what a warrior he is. And I enjoy myself with this fight. Let me know what you guys think. Was anything exposed with Triple G's performance? Do you think it was brilliant, masterful, and he made no mistakes? Let me know what you think. I just told you what I think. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, is Ego signing off.